Hey, Tom Rabbit! I hope you got this for your recording. Hey, YouTube out there. Tom Rabbit likes to record these. Hey, Tom Rabbit!
So a Unitarian God would be autistic in that he can't actualize relationality as being a person, so that he can't actualize personhood to its fullest before creation, right? Whereas
Shut
the
the
God
up,
of the
you
Bible,
stupid ass. Don't nobody want to hear that dumb shit you saying, Darth. You fucking fat. Shut your stupid ass up.
well, can I ask you a question?
Yeah,
Okay. Can you give me a sincere answer?
yeah,
You promise?
yeah.
Okay. What would your mother or father say if they heard you talking to me that way?
She would say, my mom. She'd probably say God isn't real.
Okay, is your mother an atheist?
My whole family is.
Okay. So you're telling me that your mother would approve of the way you're treating me?
Yeah,
Okay. I'm sorry to hear you had such a bad mother.
it's not that. She probably would demean your character too, because you got bad character. You're a bad person.
Yeah. And by what standard do you judge me?
I judge you by the standards of my opinion. Because the court of public opinion is that which decides what is good or bad.
Are you sure about that?
I'm positive.
Okay. So what you're saying is the good is determined by what's fashionable?
Yeah, albeit non-propositional, so it's not
Okay.
true or
Okay.
false. It's just opinions.
Okay. So so what's good or bad is not determined by the nature of God?
It's just a fiction, just like God. It's just a fiction.
Okay, and how do you know that?
And how do I know it? Because there's no correspondence relation between moral facts in the world.
No. How do you know that God doesn't exist?
Because there's no such evidence for a God.
Okay. Now, when you say there's no evidence for God, are you stating that you're unaware as to whether there is a causal connection between God and a tree or a rock?
There's no such God for a causal connection to occur.
No. Let's
No,
focus on my
Darth, he
question.
answered it. He says that he's asserting that they don't have a causal connection, not that
Oh,
he's
okay. All
unaware.
right. Okay. So, how did you determine that any particular thing exists with complete metaphysical independence from God?
This presupposes that God has some metaphysical connection to the world, which you haven't justified.
No. That's not an answer to my question.
It is an answer.
No, listen. What's your username?
My name is muted for winning.
Okay. What would you like me to refer to you as?
Muted.
Okay. All right. So, muted. You responded to my question, but that was not an answer to my question. Okay. Now, I want to know how you know what you said was you verbalized a you how shall I put this? You described your mental state of incredulity. Do you understand what I mean by that?
You're saying I'm not convinced.
That's basically what you said. You said God doesn't exist because you're unconvinced. Well, that's called a non sequitur in
How?
logic and philosophy.
No,
Because
Darth, he didn't say that. He said God doesn't exist. He asserted
okay.
it directly,
Oh, okay.
not that he's incredulous.
So you say God does not exist because there's no evidence for God?
Correct.
Okay. And how do you know that anything exists with complete metaphysical independence from God?
What do you think complete metaphysical independence is?
Okay. I'm just surprised that you're dodging my question again.
No, you're dodging my contention.
Okay, listen, sir, listen to me. I'm too
That's
old
fair.
for this type of. I'm too old for this kind of
I'm
shenanigans.
tracking this
Listen,
conversation perfectly. If you want to be bad faith, you can.
explain to me how any object exists with independence from God.
So if God is existent, right, I would just need some properties and I can entertain the fantasy. But God isn't real. So nothing would have a necessity relation
You,
between God
you didn't. You
and
didn't. You didn't. You didn't answer my question. how do you know that any particular object exists with independence from God?
Because God doesn't exist. So of course it's going to be independent from
Okay,
this false entity.
listen to me. You're a dog chasing its tail. You
That's
told
not the
me
case.
listen to me. You told me God doesn't exist. I say,
That's
why
correct.
doesn't, let me finish. You said God doesn't exist. I said, how is it that God doesn't exist? And you say, because there's no evidence for God. In other words, what you're saying is God doesn't exist because objects exist independently of God, right?
No, I'm saying God doesn't exist because there's no evidence for him.
Okay, listen, you're not following me.
I am following you. Don't misrepresent me though.
Listen.
How did you determine that all the things around you aren't evidence for God?
Parakeet, please. Okay, you said God doesn't exist because there's no evidence for God.
Right.
If nothing is evidence for God, meaning that there's not a causal relation between God and anything else, that entails that objects exist with independence from God. Are we clear on that?
Of course, because he doesn't exist.
Okay, now, you told me God doesn't exist because objects exist independently of God. And how do you know that objects exist with independence from God? And you said because God doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Okay, do you realize that's circular?
Well, you misrepresented me again. So originally what I said,
No.
yes,
Mute,
yes.
please. Listen, don't be rude with me or you'll get server muted.
Likewise, please don't be rude to me because I've been
Okay,
nice to you.
okay. Listen to me. No, you haven't. You came in here and you were quite abusive and obscene.
I'm sorry, bro.
So
I just
you
wanted
weren't.
your attention. I'm a big
So you
fan.
So you weren't nice to me, were you?
All right, bro. You got it. All right. I wasn't really nice. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
bro.
No, you weren't.
Let's start over,
Now,
bro. But don't misrepresent my position at
I
least.
don't need to start over. You need to start over.
All right, but just be honest when you debate, all right?
Okay? Now, and don't falsely impugn me of being dishonest, or that's the quickest route that you're going to get to being server muted.
Are you denying that you
Now,
were dishonest?
okay. Have a nice day. Server mute him. We're done.
Ooh.
Bye bye, little boy. Yeah. What a moron. Another moron. Another trash talking moron.
A few moments later.
Oh, he's typing in chat now.
Oh, I would have continued to talk with him and attempt to educate him, but he just wanted to be a slime bag. So we're done. He starts accusing me of being dishonest.
Do you want me to read out his statements or not?
Who's he? His?
Muted for winning.
No, because he's stupid.
Okay.
No, I mean, is he still in the room?
Yeah.
Okay, can we unmute him temporarily?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, unmute him. Muted for
All right,
when?
go
I'm
for
going
it.
to ask you. Okay, please don't overtalk me.
Mm-hmm.
If I told you that God exists because objects exist, objects derive and depend upon God, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you ask me, how do I know objects depend upon God? And I said, because God exists. Would that be a valid form of reasoning?
It'd be circular.
Would that be valid?
Be circular.
Would that?
He
Okay.
he won't answer the question.
Listen to me
I
carefully.
am answering the question.
Listen to me. If you dodge the question, you're going to go back on server mute. Now,
Uh-huh.
would that be a valid form of reasoning?
I already answered this question.
Bye, server mute them. You bye, and you have the balls, little teeny tiny balls. So I hope you don't procreate more little scoundrels like you, scoffers.
Saying it's circular.
I asked you a legitimate question, and you were dishonest in your response, and you have the little teeny tiny balls to accuse me of being dishonest. When I ask you a fair question that indicts your reasoning, because I used in that statement the exact reasoning that you used. When I said, "Is it circular?" and you refused to answer the question. So
You
who's
asked if it
being
was
dishonest
valid,
now?
Darth. You asked if
I
it was
did.
valid, not if it was
Yeah,
circular.
yeah. Well, when I say if it's valid, what I'm saying is, I mean, you're correct.
Because when he says it's circular, all he's doing is replying
Right.
to the form of the
Yeah,
argument,
yeah,
not whether it's valid or not.
right. When I asked him if it was a valid, okay, does he consider that
Th-
kind of circular reasoning valid? You know what? When you don't have very many brain cells to rub together, maybe because you're a marijuana user, and you try to outsmart me, you have a lot more work to do. He's probably a troll that was sent in, by the usual cockroach atheist troll, attempting to bait me to say something that would be caustic, that they could complain and saying I'm violating a TOS.
Do you think with a name like that he gets muted a lot?
Well, it just goes to show you that you can exercise extreme patience with somebody who has no class at all, which he demonstrated he doesn't, lacks intelligence and education, but then you try to work with them. And because they're just so filled with arrogance and belligerence that, you have to quote Cool Hand Luke, some men you just can't reach. That's the way they want it. That's the way they get it. What we have here is a failure to communicate. I missed that first line. Did you get that, Tom Rabbit? Hope you got that, Tom Rabbit.